Working with Michelle is amazing. She's so lighthearted and she's so goofy, and but she's also serious. But so you know that when there's a time and a place, and I feel like there's always a time for Michelle to be just really funny and uplifting. It's been really amazing. I haven't had any bad experiences with her. I really enjoy her.
Something Michelle's done to help me professionally, just to increase my experience here. Whenever I feel like I want to learn something new, I always feel comfortable. I can go to her, I can be like, hey, can I learn this? And she'll either teach me herself or she'll find somebody to teach me, and that's the next thing that I can go on to teach the next person, and so on and so forth.
Her hardworking ability, she really just puts her all in everything that she does, and probably just her openness with the entire crew and management team.
Michelle is one of the best bosses I've ever had. She's understanding, she's compassionate, she's a great leader. She'll get down in the dirt with you. She's not afraid to tell you what she needs or what she thinks, and to help make you better and keep you accountable.
Michelle's been helping me out. She's been giving me raises and trying to get me what the top of the line is on Sonic, so hopefully I can get up there.
Michelle has helped me through a lot. I've had a lot happen recently in my personal life, and Michelle has been there through every step of it. And then, work-wise, Michelle has, because of the things going on, I started to believe that I couldn't do what she saw that I could do, and she still kept pushing me and getting me there. She's she's very emotionally there for all of her employees. And she's very understanding.
Michelle actually has a lot of strengths. Just a couple of them are speed. She's really fast. She's super fast. She's quick. She's wise. She's quick to understand how to fix the situation when it comes to her. And teamwork. That Sonic spirit. She brings a lot of it from home. She's a great partner to work under.
Because she really does put the customer first. Michelle puts the customer above everything else. I mean, we got to get cleaning done, we got to close, we got to open, we got chores to do, but no matter what, you drop everything, you take care of the customer. That's the single greatest aspect of her working here.
She really just kind of gave me the chance to show that I knew what I was doing and I can do everything here at a high level. So it just kind of gave me the opportunity to be in the team.
Michelle's biggest strength was probably Michelle is really hardworking, but she's also just she has the biggest heart. I feel like that goes before anything, honestly. She's so sweet and she's so caring, and she just she makes sure not only her car hops are doing well, her customers are doing well, her crew is doing well. I feel like that would be her caring. Her being caring is probably Michelle's biggest strength.
Michelle has the effect to be a leader because she can
She's shown me that customer service can make any bad experience a good one if you provide good customer service. Even if things are late, things are inaccurate, things like that. If you provide good customer service, you can overcome all that. It's been one of the biggest strengths she's taught me to overcome.
A voice behind what she's telling people to do. She puts character behind it and is able to just project how much she cares and what she wants to get done here.
Michelle's biggest strength is to help the other people to make them on top of the line.
I really think that Michelle is such a great person. She doesn't get enough credit for it.
Michelle, I know you've worked real hard to get here and that you've put in a lot of time and effort and sacrificed a lot, and I appreciate the work that you've put in making this Sonic as good as it has been this last 2 years, 3 years. The transformation from what it was to what it is only because you made it here. So thank you.
And welcome to the stage, Michelle Hoffman!
Hello everyone, my name is Michelle Hoffman and I'm the managing partner at Manhattan No. 1. I wanted to share my story with you guys. I started at Sonic 13 years ago in Wamego, Kansas as a partner for another franchise group, WKO. I was 16 years old, and can you believe at my age it was just because of a boy, right honey? Sonic to me at that time was just a job while I was in high school. I didn't intend to make it a career. Wamego is where I met my ex-boss, twice removed now, and best friend, Jacene Hearn, area supervisor of the St. Joe area. I also met and worked alongside with Jessie Thornton, area supervisor in Arkansas. Jacene and I grew closer as we worked together, and we built a good relationship. She promoted me to be a crew leader, and I worked 6 days a week with her as a closing car hop and doing Open to 5 with her every Saturday. Then the unexpected thing happened when I was 17. I got pregnant in high school. Once that happened, I had to reevaluate my life. My wants and needs now had to be put off, and I had to think, okay, what makes sense? I loved my job at Sonic. I had an amazing boss. I lived in a good town, and my family was all there. I decided that it was best for me and my family to make Sonic my career. Jacene promoted me to manager in training and took me under her wing. I learned so much from her. Jacene was all about the cool P's before we ever learned what they were. Culture of respect. She respected her team and took in what they had to say. She knew without them, nothing she did would have been possible. She respected and always took care of her vendors and built good relationships with them. Operations. That woman could grind it out like you wouldn't believe. Opportunity. If there was anything that she was good at, it was promoting people and giving them the opportunity to advance themselves. And I think that's where I learned that from, because I'm the exact same way. I love to educate and train people, but on the opposite foot, I love to be educated and trained because it only helps us advance in life. If you stop learning, you stop growing. Leadership. She leads by example. She was always the one pulling that rope at the front of her team and not pushing them from the back. People. She knew we were in the people business, and our number one priority was the guest. She always told us they pay our paycheck, not her, so do right by them. Lastly, profit. All in all, we are all here to make money and provide for our families, and if you were doing your part, you were going to reap the benefits right along with her. I ended up graduating high school and being a teen mom. I continued to work for Jacene for a couple years as an assistant manager. I watched her promote one of her own, Jessie Thornton, to general manager of the Holton Sonic and supervised over that store while still running Wamego. Monthly, we would see how we were doing compared to other stores, and I love to compare and see ourselves in comparison to Holton. I really looked up to Jessie as well. She really excelled on her own. She was such a hard and dedicated worker, and her numbers were there to back it up. As I continued to train and learn more and more, there was one position Jacene always put me on that I later realized how key that position was. Expediter. It's your prime location. You control everything from that position. You watch the quality in the kitchen in their times. You can see all the other positions from that point to see if you need to shift and put out a fire somewhere else. You control av time and car hop hustle, etc. She was such a great teacher, and I love all the knowledge that she shared with me. I really could go on and on about all the things that she has taught me. She molded me into the partner that I am today. Sadly, our time was coming to an end. She wanted more than WKO had to offer. She wanted more responsibility, and she wanted to supervise. Once she had her release, she looked elsewhere, and she got an offer from DLR. She gladly accepted that offer. I was so sad to see her go, but I was so happy for her and her family. I knew that her new company would love all the amazing things that she was about to do for them. Jacene had left and started her training in Topeka, and Wamego got a new GM. I'm not gonna lie, that was a rough transition for me. The GM and I did not get along very well. I did, however, get along with our new mini supervisor, Jessie. I was so stuck in the ways I was trained that I believed that everything he believed in was wrong. Not long after that, I did decide to leave the Wamego Sonic. My boyfriend at the time, Shay, had family out in the Hayes area, so we decided to give it a try out there and see what we thought. Shay started working at Walmart in the automotive department, and I got a job working for my brother-in-law as a server at IHOP in Hayes, Kansas. Ironically, I ended up in the same area as Jacene, as she was running the Sonic in Hayes. Many times was I tempted to work for her, but I toughed it out and stayed working for IHOP. I stayed there because I thought I needed to try something different, and the reasons that I was tempted to go work for her was her great leadership and the fact that Sonic runs in my blood. Slowly, my relationship started to have troubles, and I decided I wanted to go back home. There was only his family out there. I missed my family, and I missed Sonic. I reached back out to the director of Wamego and told the GM to get me back no matter what it took. I took my daughter, and we went home. I started back as a first assistant manager and started to train more. I did trucks, inventory, and schedule. Time had passed, and then Jessie decided that she wasn't happy anymore. She wanted more than WKO could give. It's a small company, roughly 30 stores, and there wasn't much room for growth. Jesse then interviewed with DLR and went to work in Topeka as well. Jesse leaving the Holton store opened up a few opportunities. I was next to move up in a store, and as bad as I wanted to move up, I did not want to move my family up to Holton. I wanted to stay put. I did some persuading and convinced my general manager at that time to take over the Holton store so that I could take over the Wamego store because Wamego is home. At the age of 22, I became a general manager for WKO. When I took over, I was so excited. I had so many ideas and different things that I wanted to implement. I can honestly say it was a little bit of a rough start for me. I was not well trained from my previous boss on how to do the end of the month paperwork. I was constantly calling my supervisor asking for help. I also reached out to Jesse and JC many times. I was so lucky to build a connection with these ladies. Even though they had pursued careers with different franchises, they didn't hesitate to help me out. I admire and appreciate that very much. My advice here is to always build that bridge and never burn it, because it will help you out in the long run. My director was very tough on me. I would never go back and change it though. He held me to such a high expectation and only expected the very best from me. I remember him leaving miles-long lists that he wanted me to get done by his next visit, and I was annoyed, and I was like, oh, man, more things to do? Yeah, but I got them done by every visit, and he only made me and my store better. He showed me different ways to look at my store from the inside out and how little things can matter to a guest. The details in the quality, the details on the outside of the store, and things that you don't think the guest is looking at, but they really are. Once I got all the paperwork stuff done, I started building up my management team. If there was anything I learned to love to do, it was to train people. Always looking for that hidden talent. I was always looking for that committed person, that punctual person, that one that was eager to learn more about the business. I would take those people under my wing and teach them as much as they were willing to learn. I built up a really good team. We ran solid numbers, and we walked away with a lot of awards at the end of the year from our franchise. I got to the point where I built up such a good team that I could step away from my drive-in and enjoy time with my family, and I didn't have to worry if my store was being ran correctly. That's where we all want to be, right? After a year and a half of being a general manager, I had my second child and was able to take 6 weeks off and take care of my son. After returning to work, I really started to rethink my future and my advancements with Sonic. I decided I wanted to become a supervisor, but as I said previously, WKO could not offer that. They are a smaller franchise and there just isn't much room to grow. I saw how happy JC and Jesse were with their decisions and how they were doing with their new franchise that it piqued my interest. I think after the last two stories, you can probably see where I'm going with this. I too decided to interview with DLR. Let me tell you how much of a train wreck I was when I asked for my release with WKO. I had a general managers meeting in Kansas City and I decided I was going to meet with them later that day and ask for my release. I knew how upset they were going to be, but I had to do what was best for me and my family. I later interviewed with Travis, area supervisor in the Topeka market, and the director, Jim Simons. I had never met these two, so I didn't know their personalities. Let me tell you a little story about Jim Simons that stuck out to me during my interview. He asked me, okay, if the zombie apocalypse was happening right now, and all these people turned into zombies, what would you do? He didn't laugh. He just looked at me with a straight face. I was so confused. I was like, okay, is he joking around and trying to make me feel comfortable? Well, back then, The Walking Dead was popular, so I thought, might be the case, or is he being serious? So my answer to him was, I'd start stabbing people? And he goes, okay, so you'd start stabbing people? I said, yes. He said, okay, then what would you do? Anyways, I feel like I bombed that question as he had to guide me through it. Well, I now know why he asked me that question, but I'm not going to give away all his little secrets. So, after my interview, I had some things to think about. I knew switching over would be difficult. I had a son who hadn't even turned 1 yet, and another child and husband at home. I'd be training in Topeka 60+ hours a week, and it was a 40-minute drive there and back, and I would be doing this for an unknown amount of time. Additionally, at the WKO was making a lot of financial changes about how they were going to pay their general managers, and those changes were not going to work for me. I met with my bosses and I turned in my 30-day notice. They did make me a counteroffer, but I kindly declined and I proceeded with my notice. My number one assistant, who had been under my wing since I became general manager, I trained to be my replacement. My second assistant manager got promoted up to his first assistant, and they were set up for success. They were well trained and had the knowledge to continue in my absence. Just like what was done for me, the store would call and ask for advice or how to do things correctly, and I was more than willing to still help them out anytime they needed it. I started my partner training in Topeka with Riyadh. I didn't need to complete any other stages of training due to being a general manager for another franchise. I went into the back office stage of the training to learn the culture of DLR and how they did paperwork. Training with Riyadh was a great experience. Riyadh really took the time to show me the correct ways to do paperwork. He made sure that once I learned it, that I kept doing it daily to master it. I stayed on top of the tasks that he gave me, and I took on any other challenges. Weekly, Riyadh and I would step outside the drive-in for little 5-minute chats on my strengths, weaknesses, goals, and things that I saw inside his drive-in that might help him. Riyadh really showed what DLR was all about. He knew that I had a family and was willing to work with me on a good schedule. Yes, I still worked the 60-plus hours a week, but I appreciate that he made sure that I had family time as well. Riyadh was a very professional partner. He was everybody's boss, but he also contributed to making a fun atmosphere and connecting with his people. The great quote I stole from him and still use in my drive-in is, "It's business, not personal." So that way his people understand that he has a business to run. It's nothing against you, but he's going to do what's best for his business. Looking back now and attending some classes after my partner training, it showed me how well of a trainer he was and how he stuck to the book on how to train people to the DLR standard. I was so astonished by how much different DLR was from my previous franchise. Now I do my own payroll, I pay my own bills, and I know how everything is going to affect my store. I was going to be a more independent partner, not just a GM. After my 4-week training with Riyadh had ended, I went to another store in Topeka with Harry. I stayed there as I waited for a location to open up. I really enjoyed working with Harry and his team as well. He always made it a challenge at work, and we did friendly competitions, drive side versus curbside, and we would taunt each other and have fun boosting each other up, all to get better results, all while motivating us at the same time. One thing I love and I encourage each and every one of you to do is to go inside another drive-in, just for a walkthrough. You can come out with so many good ideas and things that maybe would operationally work better for you. An idea I had taken and ran with at Harry's store was his chore board and the motivational board. They are updated daily and give people responsibilities on things that need to get done inside the drive-in, without you having to constantly be on top of people all day. That way you can focus on other things, because as partners, we have a lot of things to focus on. I've used these at both of my drive-ins since, and it's worked great for me. You never know which motivational quote you can put up on that board, but know that every day with every single quote change, it's going to touch somebody. The point is just to connect with your team and help better each other. Finally, the phone call came in, and I got an offer to run the St. Joseph's store in Missouri. I would be under the watchful eye of Jacine. Once again, she was going to be my boss. Crazy how life works out. I went up to take my new store while my family stayed behind to pack up. I worked and looked for a place for my family. My time in Missouri was very challenging and educational. I worked with some great people who taught me a lot because I was still new to DLR. I was lucky enough going into that store that I had 2 co-managers, all of which had been in Sonic a long time. Crystal Odell, who had run a drive-in now twice for us, has taught me a lot. She made me a much more organized partner and showed me how to do paperwork Jacine's way. I'm a person that is always open for new ideas, and Crystal was more than happy to share things that she had previously done or things that she wanted to try. I went into the store working over 80-plus hours a week, trying to get it turned around, and I ended up bringing in some backup. Chelsea Hoffman, my sister-in-law, who had worked for me previously in Wamego and was my second assistant. She had left Sonic and started a new job, but I was able to sell her the DLR dream and have her come up and work with me. She has Sonic running through her veins and has an amazing drive and commitment, and above all things, she is loyal. She always had my back and always pushed anything that I implemented, and that's what we all need. I ran into a few repair maintenance issues and learned how to balance taking care of the vendors on my own and running my store. By the way, don't let Jim Simons tell you I broke the store. Then we had Hillary Prater, who had been in that drive-in 9 years. She is another one who is just dedicated and loyal. We had a little bit of a rough start. I was a new partner, and that store was her baby. She wanted it to be her store. It took us some time, but we got through it. Jacine wanted me to work with her on the back office aspect so that she could get through her review board, and that's exactly what we did. Started cracking down in training. Hillary got through her review board and became a promotable waiting for a store. 9 months at this drive-in flew by, but then another opportunity came knocking. Hillary got offered a store, and when I got wind of the location in Manhattan, Kansas, I really was surprised. I asked Jacine if I could talk with her the next time she was by and talk about Hillary's offer. I told her that I loved working for her and I loved the opportunity to get my own store and be under her wing once again, but if it was possible, I'd like to offer Hillary my store. That way she could stay home and be near her family, and I would take the Manhattan store because it's only 13 miles from my home in Wamego. It was hard for me to offer that because I didn't want to leave her area and the opportunity to learn from her. The other hard part was going to be leaving Chelsea behind to keep advancing herself and help Hillary as a new partner. I also knew I was going to have to start all over again. My store was finally getting up on its feet and moving in the right direction, but it would be what's best for me and my family is back home, where we have our support system. Jacene told me that she would need to have that conversation with Jim and let me know. Quick response back, but they agreed that it was a great idea. I met with my new supervisor, Erica Toner, we had lunch and discussed numbers, goals, and game plans. Shortly after that, we were moving back to Wamego before Christmas. What a gift from DLR to come back home. Time to start over. Manhattan had been quite a challenge for me. I went from having 2 co-managers who had been there for quite some time to having no co-managers. I also lost a lot of crew. James had been monitoring my progress and recognized that the wages at other restaurants around me were way higher. So as an experiment, I raised the wages significantly and it helped a lot. I also did what I knew how to do, and that was train, train, train. I was away from home a lot. After a couple months of being there, my supervisor had extended an offer out to me to take on a co-manager who had been a previous partner down in Enid, Oklahoma. I agreed to meet with him and her and see what that had to offer. I did decide to bring Ben on board. He seemed to have a lot of knowledge and experience, and quite frankly, I needed the help. Having Ben on my team made my life so much easier. Felt like a boulder had been lifted off of my shoulders. He had so much knowledge and background. Me still being relatively new to DLR, I was still learning, and Ben taught me so much. Things that I probably should have known how to do, he didn't hesitate to help me with. Having a partner and an ex-partner running one store, we sure did have our miscommunications and quarrels. But we finally came to a common ground, and once that happened, everything was smooth sailing from there. He was a valuable asset to my team. I've received so much education while being in Manhattan. I need to give so much praise to my supervisor, Erica Toner. I tell her all the time how every single visit I learn something new from her. She is constantly educating me on operations, back office, and the backgrounds and morals of DLR. I have so much more knowledge in how to better my business. If something isn't right, she teaches me how to dig into it, and she's not going to give me the answers, because how's that going to help me better my store? She is a very pinching pennies kind of supervisor. You're going to learn how to fix your equipment or grout your own floors versus paying someone else to do something you can easily do yourself. She's also going to show you how it's done. She's not going to leave you hanging. One night, she spent overnight with me in my store, showing me how to grout my floors because I had never done it before. She's also torn apart my menus and shown me how to fix the wiring. One of my ultimate goals is to be a supervisor, and I've made sure that Erica knows that. I expressed to her that I wanted to start working on my checklist, and she has taken off running with me and given me the opportunity that DLR is all about. Erica is a very well-educated supervisor, and DLR is very lucky to have someone as amazing as her looking over 7 of her drive-ins. I am beyond grateful to be part of her team, and I look forward to all the future knowledge that she is going to give me. During my time in Manhattan, we have gone from being red in management to now green in management. We now have 3 co-managers and 6 assistants. I love training and teaching people who are eager to learn and take the opportunities that we have available for them. I can tell you now that all the leaders and the mentors that I have had in my life, in my Sonic career, have made me the person that I am today. I could not do what I do now without their help along the way. I'm where I am today because someone believed in me, just like someone believed in all of you. That's why we're all here, to advance, meet and conquer goals, and be one of the best in the Sonic system. Thank you, James and Jim, for bringing me into such a wonderful franchise and giving me such an amazing opportunity. Finally, I wanted to thank my husband, Shay Hoffman, for being my rock, because without this man, I could not do all the things that I do. He has given up so much for me to pursue my career. Put himself on pause, he plays both mom and dad, and takes on a lot while I'm not at home. He does an amazing job raising our children, and they are so lucky to have such an amazing father. Without Shay and our kids, I really don't know where I would be. Thank you, everyone, for listening to my journey through my Sonic career, and I hope that you can relate and take something from what I had to say.